Today we're going to be going over some killer fresh summer fragrances that will pull you compliments all summer long. So despite the hoodie, we're kind of really into that time now. We've had a couple cloudy, rainy, cold spring days, but after this, summer is officially on the horizon, it looks like. We're getting back up into the high heat, sunny days, and gonna really be transitioning over from a lot of my spring-based scents into some summer-based scents where they really hold up well to that high heat. And generally, this is where you really want to make sure you get this right. You don't want to, at least when you're looking for compliments, you don't want to wear something that's going to be, too sweet, but you also don't want something that's going to be super weak either, because if you go with something that's maybe too fresh, that doesn't have a lot of substance, and that isn't a good performer, well, you're not really going to get a ton of compliments from that because a lot of people probably just won't be able to smell you that well. So we've got it balanced out here with this video. A lot of these are going to have just a little bit of both. They're going to have some of that backbone and that richness to make sure it lasts through the day, but then plenty of freshness to work for summer, and of course they all smell amazing. Let's get things kicked off with Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Capri and Love. This is currently the newest addition to the light blue lineup. I like this one, and to be fair, I like the last one too, which was Summer Vibes. I was getting confused because the bottles look somewhat similar in terms of their coloration and design, although the shape of this one is different. This is a 100 ml bottle, and it's slightly different, a little bit taller, whereas a lot of the older style ones were just a little bit wider. So they've updated the bottle there, kind of keeping, obviously, some of the colors and designs the same. This one, it smells like a true summer scent. It has this kind of coconut fig, fruity, summery freshness about it that is a blend of a little bit sweet, a little bit bright, a little bit fresh, almost a little bit watery as well, and a tinge of like a green kick too. It's a really well done, properly executed release, at least in terms of staying true to the fact of being like a summer edition. And I think they're officially back on the right track, this light blue lineup. They kind of went down a path where some of the releases weren't all that good, and now they're back on track, and they've been putting out some pretty solid stuff, and this one is also one of those. If you can get this one for below retail, it's a great pickup. Retail price isn't too bad, but still, if you could save some money, that would be preferable. And I think I have seen this one pop up here and there, although not consistently yet. I would imagine within another month or two, you would be able to get this one pretty easily below retail. Okay, let's go for something more unique up next. This one's different, it's exciting, it's gonna be, I guess you could say challenging, although depending on your definition of challenging and what you like, that could be up for discussion, but it's Bvlgari Aqua Marine. I talked about this one recently as well, and the fact that you can still get it, to me, that's awesome, because Atlantique, been discontinued, the tonics have been discontinued for a long time now. You just don't hear about these, and for me, it's kind of like, how much longer does Bvlgari Aqua have left? The original, I think it might hang in there for a while because it's the original. But the flankers have, considerably dropped off. We haven't gotten any new ones, and all that's left really is Bvlgari Aqua and Bvlgari Aqua Marine. So while this one is still available, if you're someone who doesn't have this yet and you haven't experienced it, I would consider trying it. It's got that grapefruit, it has the seaweed, it has just the watery, salty, summery, oceanic smells that you would imagine from, a scent that is called aqua, and that has this kind of water droplet shape to it. That's really what this stuff is in a nutshell. And it is true to its name of being an aqua-based scent. It really smells a lot like what you would imagine the ocean to smell like if it were bottled into a cologne. Obviously, there are some maybe less pleasant aspects of the ocean in terms of smell sometimes, and they're not really putting too much of that in here. Again, this is still a cologne that people are expected to wear and get, some compliments out of, and you definitely do. This is one that a lot of people enjoy. A lot of the reason why, though, is because it's so unique and it stands out so much compared to everything else out there. This next one is a true classic, one that I think most people have, and if you don't have it, you have definitely smelled it, whether you even realize it or not. That's how just iconic it is. It's Versace signature, also known as Versace Pour Homme. I think it is pretty much interchangeable depending on where you're looking. It'll be called one of those two names, but it's the same. And just as a side note, Versace Mano Fresh Extreme was just announced. That's pretty cool. Just when I thought that we would never see any improvements or, different iterations to that line, here we go. And I've been saying it for a while, and that gives me hope that we may get, at some point, a Versace Dylan Blue Parfum or Extreme. I think that would break the internet, because I'm telling you, Dylan Blue, no matter what you think or not, for 40 bucks, it is a beast mode killer cologne. It really is amazing. And to have something that's taking that DNA and working it into something else would be pretty cool. But just back on track with Versace Pour Homme, the stuff is wonderful. There's not a single person that would dislike how this smells. It is so bright, creamy, fresh, uplifting. I could bathe in this stuff, really. I mean, this is the type of scent that when I do wear it, I go heavy. I spray on a lot. And it's not just because you really need to, although to get the best results, typically more is better with this. A pretty good heavy application does help that. But it's so satisfying to smell and to wear that I apply it heavily. I don't know. When I do wear this one, I thoroughly enjoy it just because it is just so effervescent, so calming, so smooth and summery. And a lot of that is probably nostalgic as well. So maybe not everybody will have the same effect. But for me, I love this stuff. And I mean, just the color of that liquid is so cool looking. This stuff is great. We're going to go from that one over to Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau Flower Edition. It's empty, but that's okay. It's you get the idea. This one, to me, was a complete surprise. I did not think I was going to like this at all. Why? Because I typically don't like floral fragrances. I just am not a big fan of them usually. There are a few exceptions, like one that comes to mind is Amouage Reflection Man. That's a white floral for men that I wouldn't think I would like, but it's one of my favorites. But generally, I'm not the biggest fan. However, this is not really like majorly floral. I mean, it kind of is, but it also kind of isn't. It's not at all what I was expecting, and that's a good thing for me because I love it. It's sweet and kind of bubbly and fizzy off the opening. You've smelled some scents before that kind of have this like almost soda texture, like bubbly, fizzy. Think of a Dunhill Icon, think of a Azzaro The Most Wanted Parfum. Things that smell completely different than this, but that texture is similar. That's kind of how this one opens up. It has that. It doesn't have as much of the green components and the coconut and stuff like Paradise Garden and Le Beau, Le Parfum and things like that. It's different than those as well. It is just a release that really I kind of surprised me, and it's way different than the others too. This one was launched early on in the year and then it went away. Retail, it was sold out, but they put on their website that it would be coming back for summertime. And they were right. They actually were true to their word. And actually probably about a month ago, it came back in stock. Personally, I think this one's better than Paradise Garden. Okay. And that's wild because Paradise Garden was super popular, but I love this stuff. That bubbly, fizzy opening is wonderful. This one, it's going to be a big hit. This next one is Coach Green. Love the gradient, love the bottle, and love what this one smells like too. This one's got kiwi, rosemary, geranium, and bergamot. Fruity green from that kiwi. A little bit aromatic and fresh just from that geranium. A little bit of a bergamot kick off the top, which of course would give it a bit of a citric punch. That's kind of what this one is in a nutshell. It's not something that is so unique that it'll blow you away by any means, but it's also different enough to make it stand out. This one, pretty quickly worked its way down to a good price online. I think you're usually looking at about $40 to $50 or so for a 100 ml bottle like this, and it could even be a little bit less at this point. Can't remember off the top of my head, but very reasonable for something that is just a little bit different, something that is just gonna kind of go against the grain somewhat to help get you through the warm summer days. All right, let's go for something just iconic and basically dirt cheap. And even though it is both of those things, and that might be kind of a downside for some, for me, it is still just a classic, something that just can't be beat for the money. It's Nautica Voyage. I mean, this is my original bottle. This bottle was one of the fragrances that started my entire collection. This very bottle, okay? I mean, look at that. That is insane. There's hardly anything left. I do have another full bottle just because to have, and I do wear it. Not so much out of this. I'm kind of holding on to that last little bit just because I don't want to throw it away. So, you know, I'm going to keep that. But this stuff, the green apple, kind of has this cucumber smell, bright, fresh, citrusy, a little bit watery. Not a ton. It's not really an aquatic, but it does have this slight watery texture to it, I guess. This is another one where I don't think anybody would ever dislike it. You know, you can say that it's cheap and synthetic and all this, but in terms of getting feedback from other people, nobody's going to say it smells bad. I just think that's like an impossibility with something like this. It is perfect for summer and perfect for compliments, especially if you're on a budget. But even if you're not on a budget, I mean, it's still worth having. Kind of running down to the end here, we have Invictus Aqua. This is the 2024 version, which is weird because now they've released a 2025 version, which looks like it's going to be similar to the 2018. So it's kind of odd. You know, this 2024 brought back that 2016 smell and bottle, and then this 2025 version, it looks to be as though it's going to be similar to the 2018 style, which is not preferable. I much prefer this 2016 style. So if you haven't gotten Invictus Aqua 2024 yet, I would get it because it was a limited edition and now they're releasing this new one again. So who knows what's going to happen there. Invictus Aqua 2016, it was one where you had to be there type of thing because the hype and the momentum and the popularity behind that one back when it was out was insane. It was all over the place and it quickly became an absolute favorite of mine. Did not take long at all. And of course, discontinued and everybody was upset. And years later, we essentially got it back. I mean, the 2024 to the 2016, they're almost indiscernible. They're that close. And of course, we have other options as well. We have a Versace Howess, we have Mont Blanc Legend Spirit, and I'm sure a few other things that I'm, you know, not remembering off the top of my head that get you pretty close to that more original style of Invictus Aqua. But to have it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, is pretty cool. And they even put on their website like, oh, we listened and we brought it back. Yeah, it took you, 8 years or whatever, but I guess technically they did listen. This stuff is wonderful. And again, I recommend picking it up if you have any sort of interest in getting that kind of original style Invictus Aqua back into your collection. Let's go for Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum as the one that we're gonna finish this video off with. It's kind of more essentially of your aromatic version of Acqua di Gio. So whereas Profumo Parfum kind of takes the smoky approach, Profondo takes that bright kind of mineral approach, which kind of is a little bit brighter almost, and with the orange, kind of has a different kind of style about it. This one has more of an aromatic, fresh, kind of slightly even floral smell. This one does have some clary sage, it has lavender, it has, I think, even a little bit of orange if I'm not mistaken. So there is some of that as a similarity. You know, it's to me, it is just a little bit of a slightly more mature take on the original Acqua di Gio, kind of more in line with the maturity level of Acqua di Gio Parfum, but just not quite as heavy. So still fresher, still a bit more aromatic. It's a great compliment polar. It's super, super wearable. Could be used for anything. It's a decent performer as well. It really gets the job done. Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum, you don't hear about it as much compared to the others, but it's definitely one worth checking out. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fantastic, killer, fresh fragrances that are gonna get you compliments all summer long. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.